Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to the Our Offbeat Life podcast. Today, we're thrilled to introduce you to Anna Huckabee, a brave mom with her husband and two young explorers. That they made this extraordinary decision to sell their home and set off on a worldwide journey of discovery. So, hello, Anna. How are you?
I'm doing great. I hope you are.
Oh, yes, things are good. Where are you at today?
I am in Playa del Carmen today.
I don't
So
comment.
for another month, we started in Cozumel. We've been here for a couple of months, and now we're going to be headed off to like Mexico City, Puebla, someplace a little bit
Ooh,
cooler.
yes, definitely. I always like to get that feel like, where are we at? Like, we're down in Argentina and I'm talking to you all the way up in Mexico. It's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I wanted to
So,
make sure our time is correct because I'm like, am I supposed to be on this now or an hour? So
oh,
yeah, with that.
so there's a lot of people out there. They might not know who you are yet, but they're about to. Can you tell
Yeah,
us? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give people a little
yeah, sure.
background.
Well, Anna, and I am a mother of actually three, but my two younger ones are going to be kind of rolling with us doing the world school thing. My 19-year-old, my oldest is 19. She's kind of floating with us and kind of going where she wants to go. If she feels like, world schooling at that moment, she's fine to join us. And, she's going to be kind of figuring out her life now. So she's going on that adventure. But yeah, I've got a 14-year-old daughter and also a 7-year-old son, and we're from the United States. So we're from North Carolina. And back in June is when we officially like had everything sold, everything but a suitcase and our dog, and started full time world schooling. We were doing part time before, but now we're officially full time nomadic. Mhm.
Full-time nomads now. There you go.
Yeah.
So, so then what was the pivotal moment when you and your family decided to sell everything and travel the world?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know for a lot of people that it's unfortunately always some tragic story, and I'm not, no, I'm not one of the other ones that had did it a different way. But I lost my father in 2016, and then my brother, who was like my best friend, he passed away in 2019. So they were like the closest people in my life, and very close to my kids as well. So we just had kind of a, as the book says, series of unfortunate events that happened along with that, just several deaths and illnesses and just just all the stuff that piled on. We've had a great life outside of that, but then all of a sudden just it started pouring instead of just raining. And my husband and I were both in jobs that we weren't really happy with, getting burned out. My middle daughter, who was, I want to say 9 at the time, she was getting stressed out at school, not really focusing. And we decided at that time we need to go ahead and homeschool her. So we pulled her out of school and started homeschooling her, which led to us unschooling her. And then, of course, the pandemic happened, and just we just decided, you know what, this isn't the life we want. We need to get out of the matrix. When my father passed, his goal was to get all of his kids out of the house, and then he was going to start world traveling and doing all the things that he talked about all my childhood. He's always telling me, you need to travel the world and do this, do that. And so I did right before I started having kids, did a little bit of traveling. And so I had it in my mind, well, when my kids leave, I will go ahead and start traveling again. So when my youngest brother left the house, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And it wasn't too long after that. He had a few more years, but then after that, he passed away. And so I started realizing like this life is short. And if
Mhm.
there's anything we need to live in the now and do it now. And my kids weren't really happy with how things were going. And I wanted to model a different life for them. So we decided that was the time around 2020 we started making plans. And then 2021 is when we're going to try out Mexico. It's a 2 hour, 3 hour flight. So worst case scenario, we can just come on back. And it went from 1 month to 2 months to 3 months. And by that time we're like, okay, we actually have to go back home and adult, but and take care of adulting there. But let's go ahead, and we love this. We know we want to do this now, and we're going to go back home and just prepare to make this our full-time life. And
Wow.
yeah, now here we are.
There's there's a ton to unpack there. You have a lot of things that led up to this. So sorry to hear about your
Yeah.
family. Yeah. It sounds like it leads you to this whole thing, travel, experience the world like your father wanted you to do in the first place. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm.
So, like, what brought you to Mexico first? I mean, you said it's only a 2-hour flight. What brought you down there?
Well, for one, it was close to us. I guess we could have gone to Canada or somewhere else. But my mother is Mexican, Mexican American. So it was kind of like I've never been to Mexico actually. So after my dad passed away and I did my whole ancestry DNA thing, just going through all those emotions and changes. That was one of the things I wanted to do was get closer to my roots. So it's like every place on my ancestry DNA
Yeah.
results. And I want to touch that land and see where any of my ancestors came from. And I'm like, this was the closest spot. Everything else is Africa or Europe. So I was just like, okay, we're going to Mexico and just get that experience. And then we also wanted to see this area as a potential place in the future, maybe to plant roots, maybe even a place for us to retire when we get of retiring age and all that kind of stuff. So it was just kind of natural for us to check out Mexico. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, the area you're in, Playa del Carmen, is awesome. I don't love the summers there. I was
Yeah.
there for an
Yeah.
entire summer and it was miserable, hot, humid.
Yes. Now, yeah, I hate rain, I hate cloudiness, but I've welcomed it. We haven't had anything but sunny days, and you normally that would be lovely, but when it started raining yesterday, I was just like, oh, thank you. Yeah, clouds and just really cool stuff down. So I'm enjoying it right now.
Yeah. Well, what did you end up doing with your home before you ended up leaving? Did you sell it? Did you rent it?
Yeah, we decided to sell, and that was just our personal choice. Everybody has their own choices to make, and it's based on their comfort level. And there's no wrong way to do it. I don't think. We thought about renting it, either short term or long term. I've been a landlord before, and I didn't love it, so I probably could have hired a property manager and had them manage it. So that was one way I could have done it, but we just didn't want to be tied down to anything. We were at the point in our lives where we just didn't want to be tethered to anything or any place. We just wanted to be free. And so, with the market being kind of hot at the time, we're like, well, this is the best time to make this decision. And we can always buy another house. We can always do other things, but we can't get this time back. So, it's a risk that we were willing to take. The risk outweighed what we knew would happen if we just stayed
Yeah.
in that existence. So we went with this way and we have no regrets.
That's awesome. Yeah. There are so many different routes to go, and I understand your hesitance having been a landlord before. It's not especially a
Oh,
long
yeah.
distance landlord, that would be really difficult. So that would
Yes.
imagine I
Yeah.
would imagine.
Mhm.
Well, I know that we have listeners out there that think this life is very bizarre. Getting rid of all the stuff that we've collected over a lifetime. Did you, like, fully purge your possessions? Did you get a storage unit, something in between? Can you talk to us about your process of downsizing?
Yeah, I think the downsizing actually started prior to deciding to pursue this lifestyle. Once we realized we were getting burnt out, we just started looking around like we have stuff. What can we do in our lives to simplify it? So we just wanted to simplify our lives in general, just with everything that was going on. We just wanted a simpler life. And so we looked at what we could get rid of physically, and then we trimmed it down quite a bit. But that being said, when it came time to be more intentional because we were going to sell the house and everything, you just don't realize how much stuff you have. It's just like, wow, this is a lot. Even though I thought we went to do some more minimalism, it wasn't minimal enough because we had so much stuff. I mean, the house that we had lived in before, we brought boxes over that we never unpacked. We've been living here for 7, 8 years now, and we never unpacked in there, just in the attic and everything. So we had to stuff on top of stuff. And so we did it in phases. Like we did a huge phase where we just had a huge yard sale. I mean, our whole front yard was just like covered in stuff. And we decided whatever does not get sold, we're going to just box it back up and not even take it in the house. It's going to Goodwill and whatever thrift stores nearby. And we did that. And it was so much stuff, truckloads and truckloads. And we just high fived each other and like, yeah, we're done. This is good. And we realized No, we're not. We still have so much more stuff in the attic and just random things. And so it ended up being more in like phases. So phase one was easy. It was like stuff that we knew we didn't use, stuff that was junk or whatever. And then before long, we had to go to additional phases. And the last phase was the hardest because it's now getting to the memorabilia, the stuff that might have some sentimental value, but you haven't even seen in years. It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
forgot this one random baby shoe that I haven't seen it forever. I just want to keep it. So we really had to like decide what things we really, really wanted to keep and then get rid of everything. So yeah, we got a small storage space. It was like the size of a small closet, not even anything you could walk in, but just like, maybe 3 feet deep by 3 feet or 4 feet wide. And basically it was to put just a few memorabilia. My husband had some like Pyrex glass cookware that he inherited from his great aunt who had passed away during the same time my father and brother passed away. So there was just some stuff that was special to him. And he's like, well, it's good cookware. That was his rationalization. But then we also have like some camping gear so that when we come back to do our road schooling stuff in the United States, we'll have that available to us. And then some pictures. I mean, that was the one thing that I think we both were like, we don't want to let go of our photo albums and things like that. So we kept those, but I mean, it's really like 2 or 3 boxes, and then the rest is like our tents and camping stuff for when we come back to do some camping around the United States. Yeah.
That's okay. So you plan on going camping around the US after all this is said and done?
Yeah, somewhere in between there, we're gonna do some camping. My 14-year-old, she's not really into the outdoors at all. She's into climate control places. So when she's kind of out of the house or on her own or doing her own thing, we'll take my son camping because that's something
Uh,
the three of us love, me, my husband, and my son. So
okay, okay.
we'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got that. Oh, but going back to the downsizing process, what tips do you have for families that are like getting started? They're trying to do this at the beginning. They're preparing for their world schooling adventures, and that they're looking at getting into the downsizing process. Since you just went through this
Yeah.
process yourself, do you have any thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, I would say just expect an emotional roller coaster when you're doing the process because there's going to be the feelings of liberation that you're freeing yourself and you're releasing this burden, but then also it'll be kind of a grieving process. You're getting rid of a lot of memories, even stuff that at the time, I mean, in reality, in the grand scheme of things, you'll forget it as soon as you're on the road. But in the moment, it's like, oh, this sock. I remember we, went to the movies with the sock on. And I don't know where the match is, but so you're gonna across things like that and there's going to be all kinds of emotions, but just let it go. Anything that you have be found anywhere else in the world, and the most precious items you're taking with you, and that's your family, that's these experiences, that's the stuff that you carry, and the other stuff just ends up owning you instead of you owning it. So yeah.
Oh, that's a very good statement. I like that. Well, earlier you mentioned that you traveled a bit before this as well. So, what about those past travel experiences shaped or influenced your decision to become a full-time traveler?
I like learning on my own terms, just the natural process of learning, not when you're sitting down with a book and saying, I'm going to learn about Mexico today, or I'm going to learn how to speak this language, Spanish. I want to be immersed in it. So if I want to learn about Mexico, I'd like to be there and touch and see and experience all those things first, talk to various people and hear the languages. And, those are experiences that don't ever leave you, and once you get into it, it's like I just want more. I want to meet other people and experience these cultures and firsthand. And I just wanted to give that experience to my kids so that it's normal. It's this is just part of their lives. It's not a big deal to meet someone from another country or hear another language or eat food from a different region than they're from. It's just really fun to have them here and experience that with me.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. That is very cool. Was there anything that you wish you didn't get rid of during that whole downsizing process?
Oh, yeah. Well, I told myself, I vowed to myself, I was never going to step foot anywhere cold again. I'm like, that is my one rule. Wherever we go, it cannot be cold. And Plaid Apartment has definitely like made me choose or decide, you know what? I should have kept a couple of sweatshirts or something because I'm looking forward to being in at least like 40s, the 30s Fahrenheit, just to get a break. So now I'm like, oh man, we're going to a couple of cooler places somewhere down the line. So yeah, maybe I should have kept a little backup, just a few things, but I've got all tropical dresses.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the most normal thing I have, but everything else is like trees and leaves all over it. Yeah, I'm dressed for the beach. So now I'm like, "Oh, switch that up. But outside of that, honestly, like I kept really what was important to me, and that was just pictures of memories of my family and stuff like that, and everything else that I got rid of. I can't think of anything that I'm like, oh gosh, I should have kept that.
So, all right, let's try this though.
Yeah,
I am curious to know who in your family had the hardest time downsizing and who had the easiest time.
my husband is very sentimental. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
sentimental kind of guy. Like he's the kind of guy that'll hold on to things for years, and it's really special to him. For me, I'm like, oh, whatever, get rid of it. So yeah, he had the hardest time, but I think honestly, most of the stuff in the storage phases is.
Yeah.
So,
How it is in our
yeah,
family
so that
too. Yeah.
yeah. So he's a sentimental guy, and I have to respect his feelings, just like he has to respect mine. So I took that into consideration. It's like, okay, we'll meet halfway, and we'll get a tiny storage space, and then whatever doesn't go there, then we let it go. So it enabled him to downsize it to the stuff that was really really important to him. And I don't know. I don't know if he remembers even what's in there now. We've only been gone for a few months, but I'm not even sure if he remembers what's in there. And maybe a year from now, we'll go through it again and be like, oh, this wasn't as serious as I thought. We'll let it go. So, but yeah, he was the hardest.
People hear that and they're like, a few months, they've been gone a few months. So you're so brand new to this lifestyle.
We're full time. Yeah. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
newbies to doing it full.
Which is awesome. Did you have any prior experience with world schooling or anybody in the world schooling community before you guys set off and made this transition?
No. Well, the closest thing would be maybe myself, only because my father, when we were little, just always told us, you need to travel, you have to travel. He didn't have really the money to take us at the time, but he just like, as you grow up, I want you to travel and be, a world citizen, a global citizen. And so he encouraged me as soon as I was old enough and able to, that I start, traveling. And I met people along the way that were traveling with their kids. There was a couple that I met in London, and they were both bartenders, and they bartended all around the world. That was their job. Whenever they, went to a new city or country, they would just get a bartending job. And
With
had
kids?
like three
Wow.
kids at the time. Yeah. And there was another American lady I met, and she said, she's gone through, the Alps, and with her baby strapped on her back and just hiking. And so it was really cool to see people living that life, even though at the time I was only like 18, 19. It was just so far removed from anything I knew. And then, of course, when I became an adult, I remembered those experiences, and I'm like, wow, I can do this too. I mean, yeah, I've got way more technology now than they did.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it just like was something that it just like you realize that it is you change your mindset. Before it was seemed like an impossible thing that like that was something for other people to do. But then when you realize, okay, why not us? Why not me? And so yeah, when we went to Mexico that first time, I had no intention of going to Merida. Well, I mean, we were going to go to Merida just to visit Merida, but I didn't know at the time there was a World School event going on there. So like we just coincidentally were going to Merida at the same time that the World School event was. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I saw it in something on a Facebook group. And so we ended up there, and I didn't realize there was this huge community that was doing this and that they were interconnected. And after that, it was like, oh yeah, we're this is definitely what we're doing. Yeah, because that was my only concern was socialization for my kids as they're bouncing all over the
Yeah,
world. Community that understands what we're dealing with here. So
definitely, definitely, definitely. Yeah, those world school pop-up hubs can be very helpful.
yeah,
And you saw there are so many different people from so many different backgrounds and everything
yeah,
all over. So it was cool. There
yeah.
were full
And
timers, there were people who just yeah.
Yeah, she attended it, and she still has friends from that pop-up. They see, they talk to each other all the time. They she attended another pop-up in France, and some of those same kids were there, and of course she met other kids there, so they're all friends. It's just amazing how she just picks up friends along the way and they stay connected. So it's great.
Same. My son found some new friends from there, and they talk all the time. And yeah, it's great. You'll see your kids will pick up friends all around the world.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
What'll really get you is when they start speaking and having colloquialisms from their friends that they pick up that are not American. Sometimes I can't tell
Yeah,
if my kid's British or not.
yeah. It's already happening. I'm like, where did that accent come from? Or she's saying some colloquialisms from another country, and I'm like, what? Okay, I got to keep up now. I got the slang from United States, and now I got to keep up with the other stuff, so I know what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So, well, speaking about kids, what was their lifestyle like prior to this journey, and how has it kind of evolved?
Oh, okay. So before the journey, when we were in the thinking process and the process of making this all a reality, they were still kind of like socially isolated because of the pandemic. so
Yeah.
so at that time, it seemed like the perfect time for us to make those moves so that they can have that experience. We weren't tied down to anything. My family had kind of moved away. My brother went to California, my sister went to Virginia, and my mother moved to Mexico. So
Mm,
she lives in Mexico full time now after she retired. So for us, my husband, his family still lives in North Carolina, but outside of that, we don't really have any connections. So like it was pretty easy for us to make that move. Of course, towards the end of like us kind of finalizing, our house and putting it on the market was when some of the co-ops that we were in, the homeschool co-ops around town, started to reopen and start bringing kids in again and socializing. So of course, like right then is when they start socializing again and making these connections and friends. And I'm like, oh man, I'm so happy, but we're gonna be leaving soon. So
mm.
yeah, so that was kind of hard to finally to get to socialize in their hometown. And it was like time to go now. But that was an adjustment. But she, like I said, she already had connections from all over the world. And some of the people that she had met while world schooling, they were here already in Playa del Carmen. So she's
Okay.
going to the movies tomorrow with a couple of friends and doing a sleepover this weekend. So it's just like she's back on the saddle.
Oh,
Mhm.
teenagers.
Yeah, yeah. She's a social butterfly, so making sure she has that social interaction is imperative for her. Yeah.
Has it been challenging maintaining that social interaction, or has it come pretty naturally for you and for her to do that?
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely a social butterfly, and she is too, and she thrives off of that. So it's been challenging just because just like last week she was a little girl, and it's just like she was just happy to hang out with mom and dad, and then all of a sudden we're not cool anymore, and I'm like, whoa, what happened? So like she only wants to hang out with her friends now, which is a normal teenage thing. So I just try to keep abreast of that and just keep ahead of that by like any city that we're going to, any country that we're going to, I just jump into the world school groups like, hey, are there any pop-ups happening? Are there any hubs? Is anybody in town around the same time we're going to be there so we can meet up? Also the expat groups too, because there's a lot of people that live full time in these places and they either have kids the same age as mine or know of like some mom groups or family groups that meet up. And so that's basically what I've been doing to try to keep her constantly socialized wherever we go. When we got here, I had already had some programs lined up for her to go into, and she's met friends through that. My son, he had a play date group that was meeting up, so he's been to water parks and met
Mhm.
friends. How I just keep it flowing wherever we go to, and then of course she picks up those friends along the way. And if we ever circle back around, or find ourselves at a hub or pop up in another country, usually those friends will be there. And so yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is awesome. That is very cool. So, how did you end up preparing the kids? I'm sure there's parents out there thinking, okay, if I did do this lifestyle, how do I prepare my kids for this transition, leaving
Yeah.
what friends they do have, if they're in school, which yours were homeschooled anyway, that type of
Mhm.
thing. So, how did you prepare the children?
I think for all of us, no matter how prepared you are, until you're in it, just like you just don't really know until you're actually in it. And so they were prepared. We've been talking about it for the last year or two. We came down here to Mexico the first time to try it out. So they were all on board with that. They loved it. It was great. We got back and then we started preparing the house for sale. And so they were all in it when it came to that process, as far as getting rid of stuff and what they wanted to keep and everything. And then it was the process of staying connected with your friends here. So we've talked to my daughter about maybe she coming back to like Thanksgiving or another holiday or on her birthday to hang out with some of her friends. And then my son, he just was like, whatever, as long as you forgot to feed me, I'm good. So he was totally fine with the whole process. And just asking them like, hey, what things are you interested in seeing when we go down there? It's like learning about Mexico or any other country or any other city or town that we're going to. Like, what things do you want to see? What are you interested in when you get there to kind of build that anticipation and excitement? So my son, he was just all about chocolate. He loves chocolate, and Mayan chocolate is a big deal here. So we went to the chocolate museum and learned about chocolate. He got a chance to taste some Mayan chocolate afterwards, and he was disappointed that the museum itself wasn't made of chocolate. That was his biggest. But that's how we kind of got them prepared. Like, what would you be excited to see when we get there? And it gives them a chance to have like a feeling of, I have a voice in this. And still we got down here and then there was still some adjustment. We're out of our house and never coming back. So that was just, I think for all of us, it's like, whoa, did we really just do this? Just that wow moment. So I think we all kind of went through that, and including the kids. But I think we're getting adjusted now, and we'll see as we move along to other places, how they feel. But I think as long as I keep them part of the decision making or being the decision makers, because we unschool, so they get to decide a lot of things for themselves, which helps. Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about that unschooling, because that's an unfamiliar concept to some people out there. Now, some of our listeners, obviously, they probably know a little bit about unschooling or world schooling, as we like to call it, since we're traveling full
Yeah.
time. But can you explain how you go about educating your children?
Yes, yes. So my children are unschooled. My 14-year-old and my 7-year-old are unschooled. My 19-year-old, she went through regular traditional public school, and she's already done her first 2 years of college. But my 14-year-old and 7-year-old, we chose to unschool them. My 14-year-old, we started unschooling her at 9 years old. So we pulled her out of public school and started unschooling at that time. So it's basically child-led, interest-based learning. They learn what they're interested in. They guide us on what they want to learn, and we're just here to provide the tools and the resources and the support that they need to learn whatever they're into at the time. And that changes and flows, and it's a very natural, organic thing. There's no sitting down, you're gonna have to learn this now and then memorize it and then do a test or any of those things. They get tested basically by just life.
Yeah.
We go somewhere and then my son, who I didn't even know was reading, says, "Hey mom, this sign says this is where we need to go." And I'm like, how did you know that? Okay,
Yes,
kind of
I've
the
been
guinea
there.
pig,
Yeah.
because my middle daughter went through third grade or fourth grade, I can't remember. And so she knew basic reading, math, all that kind of stuff. So he's been the one that's been completely unschooled. So like no reading, no math. I mean, we do whatever he wants to do. We read books to him. If he has questions about math, which he has lots of questions about math, that's what he's really into. Questions about plants and things. It just ends up going into this rabbit hole. Like just
Yeah.
they ask one question, rolls into another and another. And so they learn so much just by these thinking processes that they have. And I want to learn now about this and that. So that's basically how we teach them, or they teach us. They teach themselves.
Yeah. Well, what's the biggest question that people always ask you about your kids' education?
Oh, always the milestones. Or is he reading it? Is he, does he know his math, his ABCs? Just like these milestones. Like, this is what a first grader is supposed to know in public school. So he should, he's expected to know these things right at this time. And it's like that's not how it goes. They learn what they want to learn at their own pace, at their own development, at their own interests. So there might be things that he might be technically not behind by the standards of the public school, but he's far advanced in other things. And those other things that he's supposedly behind on, he will catch up when he becomes interested in it. We question ourselves sometimes, and we're like, maybe we should like start, teaching him how to read. So we sat him down and try to teach him how to read. He's like, I'm not interested in this. I don't want to do this. And it's like, okay, all right. We got to, what was our principle? We wanted to unschool this child. He says he's not interested. He's not interested. He'll be interested when he's ready. And like all of a sudden, it's like he's reading now. Like, I don't know. Just like he does the pre-reading skills. We go places and he sees signs. He sees, when he's playing Minecraft and people talking. And so now he's interested in what his friends are saying. And so he's like, Mom, how do you type this? What does this word mean? So when it becomes a functional, practical thing for him in his life and relevant in his life or her life, then that's when they just dive right in and learn it in a way shorter amount of time than you would expect a public school child to do, simply because they're interested in this right now and they're just devouring that information and absorbing it. So it's a really natural way of learning, and they retain so much more doing it this way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting way for learning to occur, and it, like you said, very natural. We
Hmm.
do it as adults when we wanna learn something, so
That's right.
it's no different from a child, except children are more susceptible to picking up things faster than, us adults, so
Mhm. Absolutely.
do you ever get the question from people about going to college? Like, how's your kid gonna go to college if he's never been to a physical school?
Yes, yes. So we get that question, and like I said, back to the second guessing. I went through this with my middle daughter. I'm like, you gotta figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. We just went through this a couple like about a month ago. I'm just like, what do you want to do? What are you interested in? And it just was like, okay, you need to calm down, mom. And I talked to a couple of women in a like a Facebook group about unschooling and just told them like this is what's happening. And they're like, yeah, you need to do some self-reflection because this is some insecurities and some triggers in you. It's not her, it's you. And so yeah, we do get pressured from society like, wow, maybe she should be doing this so that she can be on that path to college. But I have to trust this process. I have to trust my daughter too, that she will figure her life out in time. The things that she might be interested in at 14 are not the things that she might be interested in at 18, and she has so many talents. All of us can see the talents in our kids, even when they can't see them. We see the strengths and the talents and everything that they have. And we also see the weaknesses. And so I want her to have the freedom to dive into those talents and those strengths and not be focused on the weaknesses. Let's focus on those because in the next few years, there's so much technology and so many different opportunities and jobs and businesses that are going to be created in the next few years.
Yeah.
I'm pick being a doctor, lawyer, teacher. There's going to be so many other things that I don't even know of that exist yet. So I want her to find her own way and flow into that naturally instead of being like me, where I went to the first college major that everyone said I should. And, I don't do anything in that field at all. Yeah. So I'm doing something completely different, something I love and enjoy and came natural to me. And that's what I want her to figure out for herself. So I don't
Excellent.
worry about that anymore. And that's what I tell them. I said, she's going to be fun. I don't have to explain anything to you guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that's, mhm.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent. I'm sure that they're coming up with some amazing travel stories and experiences and everything. My son just started journaling, so he's starting doing that after all of our adventures, and he writes it down. Sometimes it's detailed, sometimes it's not, and it's a
Oh,
secret. Nobody's allowed to see it but him. But that's how he's now, like, interacting and trying to remember some of the really big things. Do your kids have any favorite travel
mhm.
stories yet? I mean, it's not been a lot of time yet, but
Yeah, good question. I did ask my daughter about that. I know she loved going to France. Paris was like on her bucket list. So being able to go to France and see the Eiffel Tower and go to
yeah.
the Louvre, oh man, she loved that so much. And I asked her about it and she just said that was a really great time. Just like every time we go to a new place is amazing because it's just like even within Mexico, the culture is going to be much different between here and Playa del Carmen compared to Oaxaca when we go there. And so it's like, all these places provide some new experiences. And she just loves the thrill of being placed into a new place with new experiences, new food, new language. So it's just always part of the thrill, yeah, for her.
Ah,
And my son, said I asked him too about that. He said, "I love playing Minecraft with you, mom."
Aw,
So that's
that's a
because
perfect
now,
7-year-old answer.
I know, yeah, but it's like, I'm like, he likes playing Minecraft, we'll play Minecraft. So we do that, but also we do it like in real life. We'll go out and like pretend we're playing Minecraft out in whatever terrain we're in. So he gets to do it electronically with us and then also in real life. So he loves being able to have that time with us now, which we didn't have before. So it's important for him.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you get a lot more time with your kids, even if you are working, while traveling, you still get a lot more time with your kids.
Absolutely, no commute. I mean, like most people, I would assume are working online, so there's no commute home, the hour home, the 2 hours home that I was doing before. Now that's time where it's like, shut off your laptop. Okay, let's play. Let's do something. Let's go for a walk or go to the beach or just jump on Minecraft. Yeah, so you get a lot more time with your kids, and because your life is so minimal, there's not a lot of other things that pull you away as much now. It's just everything is family centered. Yeah.
Yeah, and that kinda brings us into the fact that many families are probably wondering, how do you finance this lifestyle? How do you really
Uh,
finance it? Can you shed some light on that and how your family maintains financial stability while on the road?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess our situation is unique because we did sell our house. So,
Oh, yeah?
but that was part of our decision making process because when we first came down here before, I was able to finance our travels with an online job that I had, which was great. It helped pay the bills while we were down here in Mexico. But I wanted to take a year off, like have like a mini retirement. And the only way to really do that was by selling our house and having some funds set back. So that enabled us to have this year off where we can kind of rediscover ourselves. So we're kind of like deschooling and unschooling ourselves. Now it's like we're learning about new things and like what do we actually like? Not that because we have to pay bills or anything, but what do
Yeah.
we like to do? And what can we learn and how can we monetize that? So we're kind of going through that process right now. I've always loved writing, so I'm going into copywriting and I'm already working on my portfolio and getting some connections with that. And so that's kind of the path that I'm going on. And my husband, he's doing his stuff too. I can't remember what he's doing. Yeah, but that's yeah. So he's doing some stuff too, where he's learning some stuff online and trying to figure that out too. He's actually sending a few scripts. He's a writer too, so he's like, I want to throw some of my scripts out there and see about publishing some books. So this gives us an opportunity to try our hand at other things that were just like dreams before and we didn't have time to pursue. So this has given us the opportunity. But it was going to happen either way. If we chose a different way and say we wanted to just rid our house out, probably wouldn't have been enough to fund our lifestyle, but we would have just gotten online jobs. We were going to do this regardless. There's more than one way to get the job done, and we were going to figure out a way regardless. So, yeah.
So, as you travel, do you go Airbnbs or how do you go from place to place? Do you do hotels? What is your preferred, mm, living style?
Well, one of the ways that we make because we do want to take a year off and only spend a small amount of
Mhm.
our funds. We weren't trying to blow the whole thing from the sale of the house. Part of the reason why is because there are some countries where you can get residency based on what you have in your savings or investment accounts versus what your monthly income is, because we have zero monthly income technically right now. So Mexico was one of those places. So we got a chunk of it set aside so that in 12 months we can go ahead and apply for our residency and become residents. Therefore, if we want to eventually become citizens or if we want to stay longer than the 180 days that's allowed to US citizens, then we can do that. So what we try to do is to stay somewhere it's slow travel, like just stay as long as we can, usually however long the visa allows,
Mhm.
and low cost of living countries. And we usually start out with Airbnb, and then from there, we will go on Marketplace sometimes and look what local rentals they have. Also, we just talk to the Airbnb host. That's one of the best ways because a lot of times they're fine with going ahead and making it a long-term rental. Or, hey, we plan on staying here for 3 months, 6 months. What can you do about the rental, and can we take it off Airbnb to save on some of those fees and stuff? So I've had some cut down to like 50% of what the Airbnb cost is because I've negotiated this with the host. And then
Shh,
also like
don't tell Airbnb.
I know, out too.
No, no.
They'll be coming after you. But yeah, so I won't drop any landlords' names, but yeah, that's usually how we do it. Then also, like I said, Marketplace has been a phenomenal resource for us. And for example, my oldest daughter, she's kind of floating along with us. She's here, but she's not with us. So she wanted to have a separate space because she's an adult now. So we were able to get her a little studio apartment. And when I talk to people on Airbnb and just expats in the area, they're like, "Oh, you can't find a place under $1,000, even if it's a studio near the beach or whatever." I went on Marketplace, found a guy that has this fruit stand, but upstairs he has like these beautiful little studios, and he like surrounded the rooftop with plants and a terrace. So she has a really like beautiful area, and she's vegan,
Aw,
so the fruit stand is for her. So she just goes down there, gets her fruits and vegetables. But yeah, she's a 5-minute walk from the beach, and it's like $400 a month for her place, and that's on a month to month lease because I just didn't know like how long she was going to stay or how comfortable she was staying by herself. But if we had gone with like a 6-month lease, it would have been more like 350. And so just going on Marketplace and just talking to people in these expat groups and talking to your Airbnb host, a lot of opportunities will come up. And also walking the neighborhoods in most countries, especially the lower cost of living countries, like not everything is advertised. You have to go out there and walk
yeah.
the neighborhoods and find the for rent signs. So that's also another thing. And you'll be surprised on what you can find. Really nice places.
Yes, definitely. So that's really cool. That's a very good insight. I love that. Now, I know that you're just starting out on this adventure, but let's talk about challenges. But what have been some of the biggest hurdles that you faced traveling as a family, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah. So I think almost immediately we decided, like, because we were like, "Oh, we're gonna stay here for a few weeks and then jump over here for a few weeks," and almost instantly we knew faster travel wasn't for us, because just because of all the moving parts, all these kids,
Yeah.
all of them with temperaments and wants and needs, it can get kind of stressful moving around so quickly, and it gets expensive. So we realized it would be better to slower travel, and then that also enables us to pad in some days off. Like not every day do we have to live like a tourist and see every site. Now we can just live. And also it gives us an opportunity to meet people and everything. But yeah, that was our biggest challenge right out the gate. We knew that we couldn't do that anymore. But then also just feeling like I didn't have control. You don't have control. For one, we don't have that place we can run back to. We sold our house. There's no place to run back to.
Yeah.
And we're in a country, just a lot of things that was out of my control. If the plane showed up late and there was a delay, or there was a storm that, El Nino that came up that we didn't know about. My husband got dengue fever,
Oh,
you
no.
know, yeah, the dreaded dengue. And so it was just like we didn't know where to go to the hospital or where to get medicine. So it was just a lot of like, this is how it is in the United States. So I expect it to be this way here. And you don't want to find those things out in that moment because you feel very vulnerable. So doing some in-depth research, which I thought I did, but a lot of times you don't really know until you're in it, like what that means. Because I knew like, okay, you just don't go to the doctor. I mean, you can pick up your medicines from like the pharmacy without a prescription or whatever, and the doctor, how get a doctor is different, and just everything was different. And I knew that, but when you're in that moment you're actually having to put those things that you learn into practice, there's some vulnerability with that, and I don't think that's going to change, and it's okay. It's what the reality is me stepping out of that comfort zone, and it's out of your comfort zone. That growth is uncomfortable. That's why
Yeah.
it's out of your comfort zone. So I had to understand this discomfort is growth. I just need to go with the flow and be mindful. And so that's when I started practicing being more mindful and present in the moment. And then I was able to get myself together because it was kind of scary at first with all those different changes going on, him getting sick and just being here and not knowing what to do. Even though I had the blueprint, it's still, when you're in that emergency, it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
I
yeah,
think we're ready.
sounds like you had some challenges to overcome right away. So,
Yeah. Yes.
but I bet there's been some joys too, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like, I when I was at my most stressed, I talked to my sister about it, and I'm like, I just want to come home." I'm like, "But I don't have my home." So it was just a moment of weakness and vulnerability. And she's like, "Now think about like where you were a year or 2 years ago, and if that Anna was looking at this Anna, like how she would feel. And I bet that Anna would be like, man, I'll trade places with you right now. If you can't handle your husband having dengue fever, I'll be there. I can handle it. So yeah, I was right where I needed to be, even with those circumstances. And once I started looking around me and realizing, wow, this is amazing. Like we're living our dreams. With the dreams comes ups and downs. And being more mindful and more present, you see the beauty around you, and just things like just going for a walk in this new city, new town, and you seeing discovering things together. Just the adventure is amazing because you never know what's around the corner. And sometimes that's scary. I mean, all of it's scary. It's always new to you, and that's the fun part. Is that you're discovering things together, and you're making those memories. So to hear my son, like we just go for a walk and don't think anything of it. But then a week or two later, he's like, "You remember that time we were in Cozumel and this and that happened?" And he's still talking about the last trip that we took to Mexico. He was only 5 then, but he remembers things from that time. And so those things never leave. That you carry those memories with you, and it's so special when you can just say, "What are you talking about? Which country were we in?" Remember memories based on like where were we at? Which country were we in? Oh, okay. So yeah, it's really awesome having these experiences and they're shared, and it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
shared experiences with your family that yeah, especially when they bring them up like that, is just outstanding. Yeah, it makes your heart warm as a parent.
Yes. Mhm.
So, what would you say is your best travel moment so far? Like your favorite story that you like to tell?
Ooh. Hmm. Oh, good question. I really think just seeing my daughter when we went to Paris
Yeah.
and just like, she can be kind of shy, kind of quiet, and she took the reins. We were going through the subways and she's ahead of me saying, "It's this way, mom." And she's reading the signs in French, and like she's never spoken French or anything before, but she just was so confident. And I just remember standing behind her and just kind of let her take the lead. And I'm like, this girl's amazing. Like look at her, just natural. Got her street smarts in the streets of Paris, and she never lets me take pictures of her. So I'm behind her like paparazzi recording her. And so I think there's not a moment that really stands out, but like when I see them, when I'm walking behind them, and I just see them so confident in this foreign place and able to just like navigate and just enjoy the sights, and they just seem so confident. It lights me up every time. I'm like, okay, I'm making the right decision here. This is amazing. But yeah, I think seeing her in Paris and how much she loved it, and just she's since she was a little girl, she's like, I always want to go to Paris, mom, and here we are in Paris, seeing the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre, and there's a little bakery. What is that show? Cat Noir, or what is that show? Miraculous. It's a kids show.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard of it. Yeah.
You heard of it? Okay. So I guess it's based on this, or their headquarters is a French bakery. And so we were able to go to the French bakery that was inspired by this movie, or cartoon.
Which,
I don't know which one it is. Cartoon movie or TV show. But yeah, that was such a huge deal for her. So it was just a dream could come true for her to go there. And yeah, it was a beautiful moment.
very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, finally, if you could give one piece of advice to families considering taking this leap into the full-time travel, what would it be?
Mm. I would say everybody's road is different. There's no wrong way to do it. The end result should just be a happy family that's sharing experiences together, whether you do it part time, whether you rent your house or sell your house, whether you work a 9 to 5 online or start your own business. However you decide to do it, slow travel, fast travel, as long as the end result are happy, healthy kids that are learning, and happy, healthy parents that are enjoying the journey. That's all that matters, is the end result. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, lightning round time.
Oh.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee, coffee. I'm a coffee person. Decaf though, because I can't do caffeine, but I love the taste of coffee.
All right. Well, then you're in the right countries right now. Cat or dog?
I'm a cat person, but we have a dog. I was overruled on that one.
You travel with the dog?
Oh yeah, we have a little Yorkie mix. He's about this
Aw,
big, but
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, he's a pretty dog.
So cool. All right, pool or beach?
I am a beach person, 1,000%. I love the beach.
Very,
Yes.
very good. How are the beaches right now down there in Playa? Are they okay? They still covered in
Oh,
sarcosa? Hmm?
oh no, they've been so beautiful the
Ah,
last few
good.
times I've been there. Unfortunately, the rest of my family, they're pool people. I don't know why we're here. None of them like the beach. So usually I'm there by myself. I'm a lonely person on the beach by themselves. But it's been beautiful. It's been really beautiful.
All right. Would you rather be able to understand and speak every language in the world or be able to teleport anywhere at any time?
Oh man, that is a tough one. Woo! Man, to know every language would be amazing, but after the flight experiences would be if I could teleport my entire family and not have to like corral them in an airport, that's the one I'll take.
Hey, all right. All right. Now imagine this. You get off the plane at your next destination. You arrive to the zombie apocalypse. You're able to get to your bags. What's the first thing you would grab and why?
Oh man. I've been waiting for this question all my life and I'm not ready now. Oh boy. Well, I guess my bottle of water if I have one. Yeah, got it. That's the first thing you're supposed to look for is if survival is water. So that'll be the first
Oh.
thing. And next thing I guess will be my scissors. That's the only weapon I probably have because we're on airplanes.
You're on an airplane. Yeah, yeah. Survivalist at heart right there. Grab the water first. I got it.
Yeah.
All right, travel trivia. So,
All right.
what is the name of the world famous ancient Mayan city located in the Yucatan Peninsula?
The world famous Asian. Right here, and I'm so embarrassed. Are you talking about Chichen Itza
Yes,
or you?
yes, Chichen Itza. There you go.
Dude,
Have you been yet?
no, we haven't. But I'm actually trying to save that for my husband's birthday, which is on September 4th. So yeah,
Ah, it's a good
yeah, it's gonna be
experience. You'll have fun.
yay.
All right. The Yucatan Peninsula is home to a unique natural feature formed by underground rivers. What are these called?
Oh, oh yeah, the cenotes, the cenotes.
Yes. Gotta love my
Yeah.
cenotes.
Uh
All right. Can you name the beautiful island located off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, known for its stunning beaches and sea turtles?
Oh, the Yucatan Peninsula? There's like three nice ones. I mean, there's Cozumel. I know they have sea turtles there, but then there's Isla Mujeres and Olbash. So one of those, or all three of them, I don't know.
I don't know if Obash has them, but I know Isla Mujeres and Cozumel has the sea turtles.
Yeah, yeah. We saw the sea turtle nests in Cozumel. So
But yeah, it's really awesome to see those and go see the sea turtles there. So
yeah,
all
we're
right.
going to see the. Plus, they have the bioluminescent
Mhm.
water there, the plankton or whatever in there. So we're going to be seeing that at the next new moon when there's no light out, so we can see it nice
I'm
and vivid. So,
I'm jealous because we didn't get a chance to make it during the moon
oh,
phase.
yeah.
Oh. All right, what is the name of the famous archaeological site known for its largest seaside Mayan ruins?
Oh, that's got to be the ones in Tulum. Is it
Yes,
Tulum? If it's got a special name, but the Tulum ruins.
Tulum
Oh,
ruins. That's the name.
yeah, it's beautiful out there. That
Yes,
is,
definitely. I've never really seen anything else on the seacoast like that before, so it's really cool.
yeah. The temple right on the cliffs is just like wow. It's nice, very nice place.
All right, now, what is a type of town recognized by the Mexican government for its cultural, historical, or natural treasures, earning a special designation?
Oh,
Spec-
like the what? Oh,
Pueblo Magico. Very good. All right. You got 100%.
goodness,
Nice.
there was a.
Excellent. Well, Anna, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. thank you very much for coming on today and talking to our listeners.
Pleasure.
I can't wait to see you here in a few months.
We'll
We're
be
gonna
in Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires for the World School Pop-Up Hub. That's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it.
Do you have any parting advice for people who are thinking about this, making this lifestyle change, people who are just starting out and thing like that?
Yeah, I would say join one of the pop-up hubs. I mean, like, one of the pop-ups that sold me because, I mean, you get a chance to be around people that are like-minded, in so many ways. You just don't realize it until you're there. Like, I felt like I was with my people. Like, this is my tribe. Like, just in every way, and seeing the kids just running around with people, with kids that are like them, that are living the same lifestyle, and just the connections that you make are just invaluable. Yeah. So I would say definitely try to experience one of those and you'll be hooked after that.
Excellent. Yes. And people that are looking for it, we've got one coming up at the end of December in Buenos Aires. So we'll have some
Yes.
information on that here. But thank you again for your time today, Anna. I think people are going to find your story inspirational, especially since just getting started. Hopefully, maybe in a year or two, as you've gone through this a bit more, we'll have another conversation and see how it's all
Yeah.
gone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. All right. And everybody remember, if you tune into this episode, tune into the next one. We've got some great speakers lined up coming forward from all different walks of life. All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.